Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever looked at someone else's success and felt like you're falling behind? In a world where social media constantly reminds us of who's doing better, going farther, earning more, it's easy to believe that we're not enough. That we must outperform others to feel worthy. But today, I invite you to shift that mindset. What if I told you that true growth isn't about being better than someone else, it's about being better than the person you were yesterday? That the real competition is not against the world, but within. This is not just a motivational slogan. It's a powerful principle that, if lived out daily, can transform your life from the inside out. Breaking free from the comparison trap. Let's begin with a truth that we often ignore, yet quietly suffer from every single day. We compare. We compare our lives, our bodies, our jobs, our bank accounts, our relationships, our timelines, our achievements, almost everything, to those of others. And in doing so, we often end up feeling inadequate, frustrated, and lost. Because no matter how much we have, someone else always seems to have more. We scroll through carefully curated lives on social media, seeing the highlight reels of others, and then turn to our own behind-the-scenes moments, the mess, the struggle, the loneliness. And what do we conclude? That we are not enough. That we are behind. That we are failing. But let me ask you this, behind whom? Failing according to whose timeline? You see, the comparison trap is one of the most toxic mental habits we've normalized. It robs us of joy, poisons our motivation, and worst of all, blinds us from seeing the unique beauty of our own journey. At the root of this trap lies a deeply ingrained belief that our worth is tied to our ranking. That if we're not doing better than others, then we must be doing worse. As if life were a race, and everyone else is either ahead or behind us. But life isn't a race. Life is a path, and each of us walks a different one. Some people bloom early. Others bloom late. Some climb mountains, others sail oceans. Some find love young, some find purpose at 40. There is no single path, and therefore, no fair comparison. You wouldn't compare a sunflower to a pine tree. Or a lion to an eagle. Each is different. Each grows at its own pace, in its own way. Yet when it comes to ourselves, we forget that same truth. Comparison often distorts reality. We compare our struggles to someone else's success. Our incomplete chapters to someone else's finished story. Our worth to someone else's presentation. And let's be honest, we usually compare upward. Rarely do we look at those who have less and feel gratitude. We look up, and we feel small. We look sideways, and we feel slow. And in doing so, we forget to look inward. Here's the shift we must make. Stop asking, am I better than them? Start asking, am I better than I was yesterday? That's the only question that truly matters. Because if you are growing, even just a little, then you are winning. If you are learning, healing, evolving, even when no one sees it, you are making progress. And that is success. The comparison trap doesn't just hurt your confidence, it distracts your focus. When your eyes are constantly on others, you lose sight of your own path. You start chasing things not because they matter to you, but because they make you look successful in someone else's eyes. And that's a dangerous place to be. Some people spend their entire lives climbing ladders that were never meant for them, only to reach the top and realize they never wanted to be there. But when you stop comparing, something powerful happens. You begin to live with clarity. You start setting goals that matter to you. You start celebrating progress that no one else may see, but you feel deeply. You begin to define success on your own terms. That's freedom. That's peace. That's where self-worth is built, not on being better than others, but on becoming a little better than who you were yesterday. And here's the best part, when you stop comparing, you can finally celebrate others without feeling threatened. You can say, good for them, without thinking, what about me? You can admire without envy. You can cheer without resentment. Because you're no longer in a race against them. You're in a relationship with yourself. Let me leave you with this. There will always be someone richer, smarter, faster, more attractive, more successful, always. But there will never be another you. Your story, your path, your voice, your lessons, they are one of a kind. Don't waste that by trying to live someone else's life. So today, break free from the trap of comparison, from the constant race, from the illusion of not being enough. Stand still. Breathe. Look back not at others, but at who you were yesterday. And then take just one step forward. That's your victory. Not better than them, just better than yesterday's you. Type VI. DA with circumflex Y la PHN2, redefining success, making yourself the standard, Fat Trin Ton MT by VN Truin CMHNG Dicon 1000T, Tipney MCHT Duway TPHNTRC. Redefining success, making yourself the standard. Let me ask you a simple but powerful question. What does success mean to you? Not what your parents told you. Not what society broadcasts on billboards. Not what your peers flaunt on LinkedIn. I mean you, your values, your heart, your truth. What does success mean to you? Because until you answer that question for yourself, you'll continue chasing someone else's version of it. And no matter how far you go, it will never feel like enough. You see, the problem with how most people define success today is that it's based on comparison. On external metrics. On how you stack up against someone else's accomplishments. And when your definition of success is built on the approval of others, your self-worth becomes fragile. Conditional. Temporary. That's why people who seem to have it all can still feel deeply unfulfilled, because deep down, they know they climbed the wrong ladder. So today, I challenge you to redefine what success means in your life. Not by looking out, but by looking within. Not by asking, what should I be? But who do I want to become? Success should not be about being impressive to others. It should be about being aligned with yourself. Let me say that again. Success is alignment, not applause. The moment you stop measuring your value by someone else's journey, you unlock a new kind of power, the power to create a life that is deeply fulfilling, even if it looks ordinary on the outside. Maybe success, for you, means being present with your family. Maybe it means finding peace after years of chaos. Maybe it means getting up every day and choosing not to give up, even when the world doesn't notice. That, my friend, is success. Not flashy. Not loud. But real. And lasting. We've been trained to chase outcomes, the title, the house, the number in the bank. But success is not just a result, it's also a process. It's waking up each day with purpose, integrity, and gratitude, knowing that you're living in alignment with your values, even if the rest of the world doesn't see the progress you're making. When you use yourself as the standard, not other people, a few important things begin to happen. 1. You stop needing validation to feel worthy. You realize that your growth is enough, even if no one claps for it. You stop performing and start living. 2. You start setting goals that reflect your truth, not your ego. You stop chasing things to prove something, and start pursuing things to experience meaning. It's not about impressing. It's about expressing who you are. 3. You become resilient. Because when the journey gets hard, and it will, you won't abandon it just because the crowd stopped watching. You'll stay the course, because you know why you started. When you define success on your own terms, you win either way. If things go well, you celebrate. If things fall apart, you learn and adjust without falling into shame, because the journey was yours to begin with. Here's a simple truth most people overlook. Being true to yourself is harder than following the crowd. It takes courage to say, this is my path, even if it doesn't look like anyone else's. But that courage is exactly what sets you free. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people climbing two very different mountains. One is climbing Everest. It looks glamorous, dangerous, prestigious. The other is climbing a quiet hill in the forest. No cameras, no crowd, just trees and silence. To the outside world, the Everest climber looks more successful. But what if they're miserable? What if they only climbed it because others told them to? And what if the forest hiker feels alive, fulfilled, and deeply connected to who they are? Tell me, who's truly successful? The truth is, success has no universal definition. It's personal. It's internal. And it should be flexible, evolving as you evolve. That's why you must stop chasing one-size-fits-all goals. You're not a machine. You're not a number. You are a living, breathing, growing human being. And your success should reflect your soul, not just your statistics. So how do you start redefining success? Here are 3 powerful questions to ask yourself. What do I value most in life, and am I living in a way that reflects those values? If no one could see my success, would I still want the same goals? What version of me do I want to become, and what does that version of me consider winning in life? These questions may seem simple, but answering them honestly can shift your entire direction. Remember this. Success is not about being the best in the world. It's about being the best for your world. It's about living a life you're proud of, not just one that looks good on paper. So today, stop chasing someone else's trophy. Start designing a life that fits your soul. Success is not a finish line. It's a feeling of waking up and knowing you are becoming exactly who you're meant to be. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is more powerful than any applause you'll ever get. The journey versus the destination, the power of consistency. We live in a culture obsessed with destinations. The finish line. The title. The end goal. We're constantly being told to focus on results, the big win, the 6-figure job, the perfect body, the viral moment. And if we don't get there fast, we start to feel like failures. But here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. The destination is only a moment. The journey is your life. Think about it. Graduating is a moment. Building a career is a journey. Getting married is a moment. Building a relationship is a journey. Losing 10 pounds is a moment. Staying healthy is a journey. Yet we are conditioned to worship the moment and forget the process that made it possible. But success, real, lasting, meaningful success, is not built in a day. It's built daily. Through small steps. Quiet efforts. Unseen progress. Repeated choices. It's the things you do when no one is watching that shape who you become. We need to stop romanticizing breakthroughs and start respecting consistency. You don't become extraordinary by doing something once. You become extraordinary by doing something well 1,000 times, especially on the days when you don't feel like it. That's the power of the journey. That's the power of showing up. The world is filled with people who started with talent, opportunity, or great ideas, but gave up when results didn't come fast enough. They confused speed with significance. They didn't understand that the most valuable things in life take time, and often grow silently, like roots beneath the soil. Let me ask you this. Would you rather grow like a weed, fast, flashy, and shallow, or like an oak tree, steady, strong, and unshakable? Because oak trees don't rush. They take their time. They don't bloom in a week, but once they stand tall, storms can't break them. The same is true for you. The journey matters more than the destination because it is during the journey that your character is built. You don't become disciplined, wise, or courageous at the finish line. You develop those muscles along the way, one decision, one effort, one setback at a time. The truth is, who you become on the way there is more important than whether or not you get there. And here's something else. When you fall in love with the process, you don't need to rush the result. Because the journey itself becomes meaningful. You wake up not just to chase something, but to live something. To grow. To improve. To learn. And when the result comes, it's just a byproduct, not your identity. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means you keep going even when you slip. You recommit after you fall. You take the next step, even when you don't feel motivated, because you decided that the journey is worth it. Let me give you a real-life example. Think about someone trying to get in shape. They go to the gym for 2 days and see no change in the mirror. Most people quit right there. But the ones who succeed? They keep going, not because of what they see on day 2, but because they trust the process. They believe that if they keep showing up, results will come, and they do. The same is true in every area of life. Success doesn't come to those who are excited for a moment, but to those who are committed for the long haul. So, how do we stay consistent when the journey feels slow? Here are 3 powerful reminders. 1. Focus on the next step, not the whole staircase. Overwhelm often comes from trying to leap too far, too fast. Instead, ask, what can I do today that brings me 1% closer? 2. Track progress, not perfection. Celebrate small wins. Notice improvement. Remind yourself how far you've come, even if you're not where you want to be yet. 3. Remember your why. Your journey must be rooted in something deeper than just goals. It must be driven by purpose. Because when the what gets hard, the why will carry you through. Let me be honest with you. The journey is not always exciting. Some days are boring. Some are painful. Some feel like you're going backward. But keep showing up. Even slow progress is progress. Even when no one claps for you, your consistency is building something powerful. And someday, maybe sooner than you think, you'll look back and realize that the person you became during the climb was the real reward all along. Ladies and gentlemen, don't rush the journey. Don't resent the slowness. Don't wait for the destination to feel proud of yourself. Be proud that you woke up and kept going. Be proud that you didn't quit. Be proud that you are becoming someone better, step by step, day by day. Because in the end, success isn't about where you arrive. It's about who you are becoming as you walk the path. And that is the journey that truly matters. Tools to defeat yesterday's you. We've talked about breaking free from comparison, redefining success, and honoring the journey. But how do we turn those principles into action? How do we actually become better than we were yesterday, not just in theory, but in practice? The truth is, change doesn't happen just because we want it. It happens when we equip ourselves with the right tools and use them consistently. Becoming a better version of yourself is a craft. It's not magic. It's built with intention, effort, and a system that supports your growth. So today, I want to share with you 5 powerful tools that you can use every single day to defeat yesterday's version of you and steadily become the person you're meant to be. 1. Self-awareness, the mirror you can't avoid. You can't grow beyond what you refuse to see. That's why self-awareness is your starting point. It's the honest mirror you must face, not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. Ask yourself daily, what did I do well today? What triggered me today? Where did I act out of fear instead of intention? Journaling for even 5 minutes a day can sharpen your awareness. You'll start to notice your patterns, your habits, your emotional responses, your energy highs and lows. And once you see it, you can change it. You can't defeat yesterday's you if you don't know who that person was. So look in the mirror, not with criticism, but with curiosity. 2. Micro-improvements, the compound effect in action. We often think transformation has to be big. But lasting change is usually small and steady. If you get just 1% better every day, you'll be 37 times better in a year. That's not hype, that's math. So don't underestimate the power of micro-improvements. 1 extra glass of water. 10 minutes of reading. Saying no to 1 distraction. Speaking kindly to yourself once instead of criticizing. These little victories build momentum. They're how you train your mind to believe, I can grow. I am not stuck. I'm improving. Success is not about intensity. It's about consistency. 3. Systems over willpower, build a life that supports you. We often rely on willpower, thinking, I'll push through. But willpower is like a battery, it drains. What you need are systems, habits and routines that support your goals even on the days you're tired. Want to exercise more? Lay your clothes out the night before. Want to read more? Keep a book on your pillow. Want to eat better? Don't buy junk food in the first place. Make good choices easier to start and harder to avoid. When your environment supports your values, you stop fighting against yourself. You flow in the direction you want to grow. Discipline becomes less about force and more about design. Track and reflect, measure what matters. One reason people don't improve is because they don't track their improvement. You can't change what you don't measure. Keep a simple daily tracker. Did I move my body today? Did I speak kindly to myself? Did I do one thing outside my comfort zone? These checkpoints are your accountability. They remind you that every day is an opportunity, not just something to get through. Even more important than tracking is reflecting. Take time weekly to ask, what's working? What's draining me? What's one small shift I can make next week? Reflection transforms experience into wisdom. 5. Identity shaping, become who you say you are. Here's the deepest tool of all, shift your identity. Don't just say, I want to be better. Say, I am someone who improves. Identity is powerful. It influences everything, your behavior, your decisions, your resilience. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your self-image. So craft a new internal narrative. I am someone who shows up, even on hard days. I am committed to growth, not perfection. I choose to become the person I admire. Each time you act in alignment with that story, you reinforce it. And the stronger that identity becomes, the more naturally you begin to live it. You stop trying to become better, and start being better. Underscore 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 underscore. Ladies and gentlemen, defeating yesterday's you is not about shame. It's about evolution. It's about choosing, day after day, to rise a little higher, reach a little deeper, and live a little truer than you did the day before. You already have everything you need. A mind that can become aware. A heart that wants to grow. A body that can take action. And now, the tools to make it happen. So don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress. Don't compete with anyone else. Compete with who you were. Don't wait for a breakthrough. Build one, brick by brick, day by day. Because every time you show up with these tools in hand, self-awareness, micro-improvements, systems, tracking, and identity, you make it harder and harder for yesterday's version of you to catch up. And eventually, you'll look back and smile, not because you reached a destination, but because you never stopped becoming. The silent victory, when you no longer need validation. There is a kind of victory that isn't loud. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't show up in headlines. No one throws you a party for it. And yet, it's one of the most powerful victories you will ever experience in your life. It's the moment you wake up and realize you no longer need anyone to validate your worth. Not your parents. Not your boss. Not social media. Not the world. You have outgrown the need to prove yourself because you know who you are, and you know the quiet strength it took to become that person. That, my friends, is the silent victory. It's not loud, but it is liberating. You see, from a young age, we're conditioned to seek approval. We chase gold stars in school, likes on photos, praise from authority. And while encouragement is beautiful, it becomes dangerous when your sense of identity depends on it. Because what happens when the applause stops? What happens when your progress goes unseen? What happens when no one notices how hard you're trying? If your worth is built on validation, then your confidence will always be at the mercy of others. But when your worth is built on truth, on integrity, effort, growth, then it becomes unshakable. You don't need to be seen to keep going. You don't need to be praised to feel proud. You don't need to win in public to know you're winning inside. That is true freedom. The silent victory is when you wake up early to work on your dream, not to impress, but because you believe in it. You choose kindness, not to be praised, but because it reflects your values. You say no to distractions, not because someone told you to, but because you know what truly matters. You become your own audience, your own judge, your own source of fulfillment. And in that space, you stop chasing significance and start embodying it. Let me be clear. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It doesn't mean you become indifferent to connection. It simply means you are no longer dependent on other people's opinions to define who you are. You shift from external validation to internal alignment. It's the difference between asking, "Do they think I'm doing well?" and declaring, "I know I'm growing, and that's enough." And ironically, when you stop needing validation, you often begin to receive more of it. Not because you chased it, but because people can feel when someone is grounded, self-directed, and deeply authentic. There's a unique magnetism in people who are quietly confident. They don't need to dominate. They don't need to explain. Their presence speaks louder than their words. And that kind of presence is earned through the inner work, through self-mastery, through showing up day after day when no one else is watching and still choosing to grow. Now, you may ask, how do I get there? How do I let go of this need for validation? Here are 3 principles to help guide your path. 1. Anchor yourself in values, not applause. Every time you act based on someone else's expectations, you dilute your truth. But when your choices are aligned with your values, you can walk in peace, even if no one understands. So ask yourself, what do I stand for? What kind of life feels meaningful to me? What would I do if no one could ever applaud it? When your values become your compass, you never lose your way. 2. Let silence be a sign of strength. Not every breakthrough will be seen. Not every act of growth is visible. But you know. You know when you kept going, even with doubt in your chest. You know when you chose discipline over comfort. You know when you forgave, when you stayed calm, when you turned inward instead of lashing outward. That's victory. Quiet. Internal. Powerful. Celebrate that. Not with noise, but with self-respect. 3. Measure progress by integrity, not comparison. You'll never feel enough if you keep measuring yourself against someone else's highlight reel. Instead, ask, did I show up with honesty today? Did I grow, even if just a little? Did I make myself proud? If the answer is yes, then that's success. You didn't come here to outshine others. You came here to become yourself, fully, boldly, unapologetically. Ladies and gentlemen, there is peace in the silent victory. There is power in no longer needing to prove anything. There is beauty in walking your path quietly, and knowing in your heart that you are doing the work that matters. You may not go viral for it. You may not be applauded for it. But you will go to sleep proud. You will wake up with clarity. You will carry yourself with a quiet strength that no one can give and no one can take away. So if today you feel invisible in your efforts, keep going. If no one sees your growth yet, keep going. If you're becoming better quietly, steadily, patiently, keep going. Because you don't need to be louder than others. You just need to be clearer with yourself. And the moment you stop asking the world for permission to feel worthy, that's when you've already won. That, my friend, is the silent victory. And it's the one that truly lasts. Becoming your own standard. Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that constantly pressures us to compete, compare, and outperform others, it's easy to forget the one person we're truly here to surpass, ourselves. You don't need to be smarter than them, stronger than them, more successful, more popular, more anything than anyone else. You just need to be a little more honest, more focused, more courageous than you were yesterday. Because real success isn't about standing above others, it's about rising within yourself. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Not about recognition, but about alignment. Each day you choose growth over comfort, discipline over distraction, and truth over validation. You win. Even if no one sees it. Even if no one applauds it. The person you're becoming is worth every quiet step. So walk your path. Honor your journey. Measure your life not by the noise around you, but by the peace within you. And remember this. You don't have to be better than anyone else. You just have to be better than the person you were yesterday. That is enough. That is powerful. That is freedom.